More is the word of our society. We all want more, but what more do we want? I don't know about you, but I want more peace, more joy, more satisfaction with my life. And I've realized that I don't have to wait until I have more money to have that. Let me take you back in time. Not too long ago, I was working as a communications director for a small but growing company. My boss was really generous, and I made more than the median salary for the job I was doing, but I was miserable. I spent so many days glued to my computer, obsessing over words and wondering if the work I was doing was even going to matter in a few months. It was too much. And yet, what was I supposed to do? If I found another job, I'd be taking a pay cut. And I wasn't sure that I could take a pay cut. Until my husband and I went on a trip together. And there, on the rocks outside the lighthouse at Acadia National Park, I tearfully told my husband I wanted to quit. And a few months later, I did. Not every decision that you and I will make to simplify our lives is going to be as drastic as that one. And in fact, the fact that that one was so drastic actually made it easier in some ways. I knew what was stressing me out. I knew what had to change in order for me to live the kind of life that I wanted to live. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do something about that. And since I have, I felt so much better. For you, things may not be that clear. You may find yourself in sort of a death by a thousand cuts sort of situation. Or maybe you can't just pull like one single thread and undo the thing that's tying you up in knots. Maybe in order to undo it, you're going to have to pull 3 threads, 5 threads, even more. So despite the story that I opened with, this video is not going to be about drastic changes that you need to make in your life. I'm guessing that if there's a drastic change that you need to make, you're going to know what it is. But it may not be so easy to just quit doing whatever it is that's stressing you out. Not to be irreverent, but there are things in life that you can't quit, like, for example, being a parent. And unless you're in a position like my husband and I were, where we made more than we needed and we were socking quite a bit of it away, quitting a job that's stressing you out isn't easy either. No, this video is for those of us in situations where drastic change is either not required or would not be helpful. So let's talk about some ways that you can simplify your life and give yourself some room to breathe right now, no matter what. Number 1, purge your belongings. If there's a messy spot in your house where you spend a lot of time, for me, it's always my kitchen. Pick up the trash that has accumulated and start decluttering. Questions to ask yourself while decluttering. Do I need this right now? Will I need this in the next 6 to 12 months? Does it need to live here? Another thing you can do is reevaluate your systems. Just like you might at work, in any sort of given week, you have a lot of systems that you're using to upkeep your life. Everything from how your dishes get done to the way that you leave for work in the morning is a system. Now, you may not have intentionally set these systems, but chances are you are following the same sort of process most days for how you do these things. I don't think I know anybody who is actually so chaotic that they don't fall into some sort of routine or system with how they do things. So when you realize that these systems and routines already exist in your life, it gives you an opportunity to simplify them. For example, I have a routine, and this one's a conscious one, where I clean my house every Friday night. And that's a good routine. It's good to keep my house clean generally. But I can get super fixated on the exact steps that go into that and not realize like, hey, I'm not actually cleaning things that need to be cleaned. It's really easy for me trying to get caught up in making my whole entire house spotless when that's just not realistic. And honestly, refreshing the areas that we use the most is the biggest win for me in that situation. Another example, and this one wasn't really conscious, is that when we got married, I thought that I needed to be the one to do all the laundry and cook all the meals in our family. Now that comes from like reinforced gender roles, but the truth is, and I'm thankful that my husband helped me see this, like I don't have to be the one who does all of it. Like, yes, I want to be a good teammate. I want to be a good partner. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I am the one doing all of those things in order to be a good partner or a good teammate. My husband is perfectly capable of doing those things as well. So things to check for this would be things like your routines. So your morning routine, your evening routine, your pre and post work routines, any sort of thing that you do throughout your day, most days. Another area to check would be household chores. Appointments, like who makes them, how often you go, things like that. Scheduled activities, including like how you prepare for them. And anything that you're doing because you have preconceived notions of what you're supposed to do because of your gender or profession or whatever. This can be a lot, but when you really start looking at the things that you do habitually on a daily basis or a weekly basis, this can be a great opportunity to simplify your life. You don't have to be giving 110% to everything in your life all the time. Some things are going to be totally fine if you're only giving them 70% or 50% or no attention at all. Another thing you can do is streamline your budget. If you are spending a lot of time on your personal finances every week, that's probably not a good thing for your mental health or really for your budget. You need a system that just works without you having to attend to it. If you like spending money, you may need to put parameters up around that. If you feel kind of imprisoned by your budget, it may mean loosening some things up so that you don't feel so horrible all the time. I don't know. You probably know what direction you need to move with that better than I do. But it's definitely worth researching so that you don't have to spend so much time and worry on it. I didn't provide a checklist for this one because I'm not a financial guru, and also like there are so many places that you can find really good financial advice online. You can find some sketchy stuff too, but I recommend this book by Ramit Sethi. It's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He has an accompanying podcast as well where he just talks to like real people about their finances and gives them advice. So I definitely recommend checking that out if that's something that you're interested in. My husband and I have been using his system since we got married, and it's just given us common language around money, and it's made it so that we don't have to worry about it from week to week, even with changing incomes, switching jobs, all of that. Another way to simplify your life even more is to establish work-life boundaries. This does so much to simplify your life. When I first started going to therapy, my first therapist was really strict about I had to have a specific start time, a specific end time. I had to do like a commute on either ends. I work from home, so it was a little bit harder to make that happen, but she was very insistent on it. And it helped me. And I was really going through severe anxiety and some depression at the time. And I think part of it was that I just never got away from the anxious thoughts that I was having at work. More recently, when I was struggling at work in that job that I talked about quitting at the beginning of this video, like I would have hours a day where I had time that was mine, but I would be thinking about things at work. I would be crying about things at work. I would just be, making my husband hold me and doing things. And I didn't have a clear work-life boundary. Sometimes I would end up checking my email and that would send me over the edge, or people would be texting me and I would be checking my texts. And so it's really important to establish those boundaries so that if your work is stressing you out, you have a certain area of your life that is protected from that. And I'm not saying that, your work is probably stressing you out because you have a bad job or whatever. You may love your job and it can still stress you out. They're not mutually exclusive. Like you can have a really fast-paced, stressful work environment and you can still enjoy the work that you do and find meaning in it. So I think that's just helpful to keep in mind that you want to establish work-life boundaries, even if your work isn't stressing you out right now, because at some point you will need those and you'll be happy that you aren't having to really enforce them with your coworkers and bosses and things like that. So if you need work-life boundaries, here are some places to start. 1, have clear start and stop times for work. It's okay if you have to move these around once in a while, but try to stick to them as closely as possible. 2, don't check your work email or phone after a certain time. And 3, keep work-related items out of sight during your non-work hours. 4, I think it's also do what you can to limit the amount that coworkers can talk to you about work-related things during your off hours, like your evenings and your weekends. If you are friends with your coworkers, this is a little bit harder to navigate. But basically, if you aren't friends with your coworkers, just make sure they don't have your personal cell number. And if you are friends with your coworkers, you may have to just consistently say, okay, thanks for the heads up. We can chat more about this on Monday or whatever the next time you will be in the office is. Here's another one. Ditch the drama. As I've been learning more and more about simplicity and simple living, something that keeps coming up that kind of surprised me, and I'm not really sure why, is getting rid of drama from your life. And this can be like interpersonal drama, but it can also be like entertainment choices that we have. So for example, I tend to get caught up in drama that I read about online, whether it's on social media or like Reddit or something like that. I never comment. I'm not like inserting myself in it, but I definitely am captivated by it. And I spend a lot of time thinking about it. But if we want to live simply, this way of engaging with drama that just makes our minds race over and over and over again isn't actually good for us. Like, yeah, I want to be able to be there for my friends and family who need my support. That's not bad drama. That's like a good kind of drama. But getting caught up in things that I don't need to be caught up in, either because they're none of my business or because they're, pushing against boundaries that I have, or just because I want to be entertained, is not really a good practice. In fact, engaging with drama makes me less satisfied with life in general because I see so much that is wrong with life, if that makes sense. So things to check for this one. Are there situations or entertainment choices that are adding more than as good levels of angst into your life? This could be your real life, social media, movies and TV, news, whatever it is. How can you disengage? Another way to simplify could be delegating little tasks. You don't have to do everything for everyone. And I know that could apply to basically anybody in the world, but I'm specifically talking here to women. You do not have to be superwoman or supermom or super anything in order to be a valuable human who is worthy of simplifying your life, of high quality leisure, of just having time to yourself. Yes, there are things that have to be done, but you don't have to be the person to do every single one of them. So where you can, try to delegate some little things. And when you delegate, sometimes that means you have to be okay with things getting done in a way that you wouldn't necessarily do them, or being done not at all. But once you start practicing it, it's not super hard because you don't have to do it. So it's a big weight off of your shoulders. It's okay to ask your partner or friends or coworkers or a meal planning service if they can take those duties over for you. And if there's something that you feel like you really can't delegate, it's also okay to ask for help and for assistance every once in a while too. Things to check if you're looking to delegate. Household responsibilities, work responsibilities that don't really fall within your job description or that someone else could be trained to do. Driving, appointment making, things like that. Okay, this one might seem a little bit floofy, but stay with me. Accept your weirdness. We all have things about us that are a little bit strange or unusual. And a lot of times we are so busy trying to fit ourselves into a mold that we let things, whether those are physical items or like not physical items, take up space and time in our lives, even though they're not really us. So an example of this is like for me in my current season of life with the person that I am right now, I have come to realize that having a gym membership is sort of a waste of time and money and just mental space in my life. Not because I'm not exercising. I'm actually very pro exercise and I'm trying to make that a part of my life. But because I've realized that I am a homebody at heart. And so if I am going to exercise, it's probably going to be something that I'm doing at home. Another tip that I really like to use to simplify my life is batching tasks. Now, this just means that you take the things that are interrupting you throughout your day. So like, little things like checking your email or doing specific chores or running errands or whatever, and you do them all together in one batch. And normally you're going to sort this by the type of task that it is. Like, obviously I'm not going to tell you to like run to the store and then check your email and all of that. Task switching can be really disorienting, and that's what batching tasks is trying to help you to avoid, right? If you are batching similar, smaller tasks together, you're going to open up more time for deep work as Cal Newport talks about, and also high quality leisure, which is another of his phrases. I guess I'm just stealing all my phrases from Cal Newport in this section. But if you are able to contain those little tasks to a certain time slot and to do them all together, you're going to feel a lot more settled in your mind and in your body. And you're also going to have a lot more time to do things that bring you deep joy or satisfaction or any of those things you may be trying to pursue with your life. And while this doesn't necessarily include cutting anything, right? Like you still have to check your email, you still have to run errands and things like that. Some of these things are unavoidable. So instead of just cutting them out, which I think is unrealistic and then wouldn't be very sustainable for long, I think the solution here is to figure out ways that you can do them all together so that you aren't disturbing your contentedness and your peace of mind as often. You feel like you can actually make progress on projects and that you actually have time to spend doing things that you love. So here are some ways to look for tasks that you can batch. 1, look for tasks that annoy you. So anything that you're going throughout your day and you're like, ooh, it's annoying that I have to do this right now. Think about, like, could I batch this? Number 2, tasks that take 15 minutes or less to do. Now, I've heard a lot of productivity gurus saying that if something takes 15 minutes or less or 10 minutes or less or whatever, just do it right then. And while I think that there are some advantages to that approach, when I follow that approach to the letter, I end up stressed out because I just spend my whole day doing 10-minute or less tasks and I never actually make progress on the things that I want to do with my life. I never, do that decluttering or finish that work project or, spend quality time with my husband because I'm just chasing little things around. I feel like a dog chasing multiple squirrels. So to me, yes, if there's like one 10-minute thing that's really bugging you and getting it off your plate is going to make a difference for you, great, do it. But if it's like annoying you that it's coming up and you know it would only take 10 minutes to take care of, but you really don't want to do it right now, think about, okay, is this something that could be batched? Like, could I do all of my, bill paying during a certain time this evening instead of just thinking about them as they come up throughout the day? Another thing to check would be tasks that interrupt your workday, like email, or tasks that interrupt your fun time, like chores. Can you batch these so that you have more time? I think the last one that I have on my list here is to re-examine your internet usage. This one has been huge for me. I am so much happier with my life because I am not constantly comparing myself to others or getting distracted by shiny objects on social media or getting caught up in drama that I don't need to be thinking about. And I owe this better quality of life mostly to the digital detox that my husband and I recently did. So I will link to the video on that in the cards. But basically, if you are familiar with Cal Newport and his book, Digital Minimalism, he outlines going through a 30-day digital detox, which we just completed. And it has been really, really good in terms of like simplifying my life. I have a lot more free time to do things that I actually want to do instead of just scrolling. So things to check for this one would be, first of all, social media, also news, and your mood when you use these things or you're otherwise browsing online. Consider doing a digital detox or something similar to help you better examine your relationship with these things. I hope this list helps provide you with some of the relief that I've felt from making changes to simplify my life. Let me know how it goes or how it's going for you in the comments below. And if you're interested in the checklist items that I've talked about throughout this video, I went ahead and put together a quick Google Doc checklist, which you can get at the link in my description. And if you liked this video, I think that you will also enjoy this one when I release it in a couple of days, because the truth is that you can't just remove from your life and experience satisfaction and joy. There are things that you're going to want to focus on once you've removed the things that you don't need. So I hope you'll watch that one as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye!